Within Destiny 2's latest season, the Season of the Seraph, a season focused on the Warmind Rasputin, it feels like something's missing. At least in my opinion, Warmind cells are missing from this season. They haven't been meta in over a year, and we haven't gotten new mods in even longer than that. I think Bungie said something about making changes to our combat style mods after Lightfall, but I think here today, with some speculation, maybe just a pinch of hopium, we can make some new Warmind Cell mods that are up to par with our subclass 3.0 build capabilities. First of all, we need to address the elephant in the room: how restrictive it is to make a Warmind Cell mod build. There's only like 10, 15 weapons that can make them. You have the 4 Ikelos weapons and then the 7 Seraph weapons. There's like 6, maybe 8 of them. But there's no exotics that do without solar splash damage, which that helps, but that takes up a mod slot just for that. So let's talk about things that I think should. Sleeper Simulant, 100% should, is a weapon made by Rasputin. I think we could mix it up a little bit and make it do it on precision hits instead, helping it in boss DPS, because Power of Rasputin would be a great thing to have drop in the middle of a boss damage phase. It's a debuff that stacks with other debuffs. I think that would really help it out. Not make it top DPS, but it help it out in boss fights, at least for raids. Hierarchy of Needs already interacts with Warmind Cell mods. It's not Rasputin's AI, it's a different AI inside a Seraph weapon, but that AI works with used to work with Rasputin back before it was put in the pillory system, before the collapse, and it sent people to Neomuna, Neptune, all that. Okay? That's the lore of it. But it interacts with Warmind cells. They make the ring on it bigger, and it can make them through solar splash damage, not naturally through the weapon. I think Revision 0 should be able to. And then Polaris Lance, that's Anabrae's weapon. I think it 100% should. Of course, with solar splash damage, it can. But naturally speaking, I think it should make Warmind cells. It would make so much sense for it to. Some other weapons that I think should, in quotes, but if they can't, oh well, Bungie. Checkmate. Outbreak Perfect is created by Shiro 4 during Rise of Iron using Siva, which is a Warmind tech, and the frame of the pulse rifle is obviously Warmind themed. Next, we have Eyes of Tomorrow, Braytech, Lament, Braytech, No Time to Explain, and Worldline Zero, both Braytech weapons. Now those ones not necessarily need it at all, but it'd be nice to have the option to make them, I guess. And then some legendaries that should. The Season of the Seraph weapons, 100% should, but they don't. Go check it out for yourself. The seasonal weapons for Season of the Seraph do not make Warmind cells. Neither do Deepstone Crypt weapons. It'd be really nice if they did, but they cannot. And lastly, why should we restrict ourselves to specific weapons? Why not nearly every weapon that can deal precision damage? A mod that lets precision kills have a chance to create a Warmind cell. Of course, more heavily weighted towards specials and heavies than primaries, and maybe more heavily weighted towards exotics. And I think this effect should stack with weapons that can create Warmind cells on their own, just probably with depreciation. So, now that we can spawn Warmind cells, let's talk about some new mods, okay? I'm going to talk about some new general mods, some new light-based mods, and new stasis mods. Let's start with general mods here. A fun little throwback to the Warmind expansion. How about a Warmind Cell mod where you pick up the Warmind Cell and it turns into a Valkyrie in your hand? Probably not the greatest, but it'd be a whole lot of fun, and it could do some pretty decent ad clear while roaming without using your super. So that'd be nice. Or an Elemental Cells mod where walking over Warmind cells turns into 3 to 5 elemental wells that probably match your subclass. It would give you a big burst to ability energy while also, giving you the effects of your elemental well mods. So like Font of Might or Well of Tenacity, whatever you got on. Now going in a completely different direction here, I came up with some Siva inspired mods. Maybe a Rasputin swarm mod where damaging a Warmind cell can create nanite swarms. Or This one's cooler. Put the two together with this other concept. Minor enemies within the radius of a Warmind cell that are infected with siva nanites are under your control, just like in Rise of Iron with that one mod, but it works differently. I think that would be a fun way to, play the game. Like, I'm using my Outbreak Perfected, which can now spawn Warmind cells. I have a bunch of ads in front of me that I have infected with nanites, and Warmind cell just dropped. They're all on my side shooting the barrier champion. Wouldn't that be a fun time? So next up, let's just talk about some solar mods. Now, I believe that solar mods, identity-wise, are in a great spot. I think they just need some adjustments, and I came up with another one that leans into the airborne combat part of solar that we just got this year. You and your allies have increased airborne effectiveness within the radius of a Warmind cell. That was a joke if you couldn't tell. So, yeah, if you want to lean into the airborne side, maybe give a damage buff to you and your allies while airborne in the radius of a Warmind cell. Maybe that could be one. But I think more than anything, make burning cells apply Scorch would be my number one thing. And then Field Medic needs to also use those solar healing keywords. Void needs ways to create cells more than anything. So how about we give it the ability to create Warmind cells when killing an enemy with the Weaken debuff applied to it. That would be a nice mod to have. Weaken is in the toolkit of all Void subclasses. It's not as restrictive as, say, Volatile, which is much more on Titans and Hunters with Gear Falcon's Halberd. But Weaken is easily in the grasp of all three. And I think it'd be a nice way to make sure people have a debuff on their team at all times. And let's also make another mod that grants void buffs to you and your allies if they're in the radius of the Warmind cell explosion. To help balance that out so you're not getting, void overshield, invisibility, devour, and maybe toss in volatile rounds all at the same time. Let's decrease the size of that explosion if you have that mod equipped, making global reach pretty much a must pick whenever you run this mod, so it essentially takes up 2 slots. Also, I think Sheltering Energy should move from Arc to Void, and it should grant a Void Overshield. That's just me though, not necessary, but I think that would be nice to help with the identity of it. Arc, a lot like Void, just needs ways to create cells, so we're going to take inspiration from every other combat style mod. Finishers for Arc. Yep, that's a great place to start. Finishing a major will spawn a Warmind cell using, I wrote a third in my script. Let's go maybe a fourth or a 10th of your super energy. Or defeating blinded combatants has a chance to spawn a Warmind cell. This would give more reason to use that blind debuff because Jolt is king. Blinding is just kind of there, but this would give a good reason to use it. If you pair that mod with a brand new mod that blinds enemies when damaging Warmind cells, that'd be a great combo for Arc. A more unique way to use the Arc identity, which is the Hold W subclass, you can grab the Warmind cell using Grasp of the Warmind and announce, fuck it, we ball. Thrown Warmind cells deal impact damage. You gain a heavy attack dunk, sending 3 arc waves in front of you, jolting enemies on their way and dealing high damage. Oh, and you can also pick up Warmind cells that have already been thrown. Wouldn't that be the most fun you've ever had with a Warmind cell? Right? And also, modular lightning should jolt enemies like it just should. Stasis has no Warmind cell mods yet, but I think we can theorize what they might look like when they come up. So first, Stasis needs a way to create Warmind cells. I think Shatter Kills is a great place to start. And now we need some effects that we can make with Stasis for these cells to do. Ways for it to alter a fight, like damaging Warmind cells slows enemies within the radius. So you increase your slow stacks, and it's basically another larger Duskfield grenade. Or enemies killed within the radius of a Warmind Cell create stasis crystals where they died. So it's just headstone, essentially. But you can use it with any weapon. Enemies killed by the Warmind Cell explosion create stasis shards. That'd be nice to give you more ability energy, and if you're running elemental shards with, elemental well builds, that could be nice to have too. And damaging Warmind Cells gives ability energy to nearby allies. That's just going off of other combat style mods where Stasis usually deals with ability energy. Anyways, those are just some of my ideas for adding 3.0 capabilities to Warmind Cells, adding Stasis Warmind Cells, and granting new ways to create Warmind Cells. Something I think is greatly needed, and even making Siva come back in Warmind Cell form would be amazing. And if you have any ideas, please drop them down below. I'd love to hear them. And please hit that like and subscribe button if you'd be so kind. I also have a Discord server. Maybe you should check that out in the pinned comment. I think I have my socials down there too. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.